Good to see you, Gary. Good day. You enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been excellent turnout, and as I said, the book's going very well.
Lots going on at Sunderland. We'll talk about that in a second or two, but fantastic career, and probably your best times were at Roker Park.
Yeah, definitely so. If you would have said the day I signed that I would have been 11 and a half years at Sunderland, then I would have thought that he was from a different planet.
Tell us the story how you got to Sunderland. Who brought you there originally?
Well, it was Len Ashurst. He was manager of my old club, Cardiff City, and Len Ashurst got a call to manage Sunderland, which he couldn't turn down. He gave me the opportunity to obviously play at the top level.
And what was it like coming into Sunderland? What was it like coming up to the North East after coming from Manchester?
Different. It was shall we say, a big culture shock for myself. Coming from Manchester, being a lot more multicultural, and then coming to the North East, especially in the early 80s when obviously there weren't as many, shall we say, foreign or black people in the North East.
And the highlights of your Sunderland career?
Oh, there's many. Obviously making my debut, scoring on my debut, testimonial, playing at the highest level, Wembley's appearances in the FA Cup and the League Cup, playoff finals, playing in the derby games. Shall I carry on?
Yeah, keep going. Show off. Go on. Go for it. What, most of all, if you had to pick a moment and says, yeah, that was the one that bounces back into memory more than any other, which one would it be?
Well, I would imagine it is scoring against Manchester United. I think it's everybody's dream. It's one of them where you obviously dream about scoring the last-minute goal against a team, but not many people score against Man United, but I happened to score the winning goal in the 89th minute for us to win the game 2-1.
And the cup final wasn't a bad moment either?
No, not at all. I think, again, when you go into professional football, one thing you want to do is obviously play at the highest level. You always want to play at Wembley. You always want to play an FA Cup final, which I achieved, and it was against Liverpool, but unfortunately we lost the game 2-0.
You've been around the North East and you've been plugging your book and you've got a great reaction as well. Happy with the product?
Yeah, I've been over the moon. As I said, over the 18 months to 2 years when we've been putting the book together, you just didn't know what the finish was going to be like, but you can see from the finish the quality's there, and I've been over the moon.
Tell us a bit more about the book.
Well, the book is something different. It's not the typical autobiography. It's a pictorial scrapbook. It's something different, and I think pictures tell a story. And I've been able to collate a lot of pictures in my career, especially at Sunderland, and being able to put them together with Brian Leng and Paul Briggs, who helped put the book together. Hopefully, people who get the book will enjoy it, and hopefully enjoy the pictures as well.
And Sunderland currently been a busy old period. Steve Bruce out and Martin O'Neill arriving in with a blaze of glory, big press conference. Thoughts on his arrival?
Well, again, it's something what the supporters wanted. Martin O'Neill's been on the agenda on 2 or 3 occasions. Unfortunate for Steve, the results didn't go his way. Obviously, once the supporters turn on the manager, then obviously it's very hard work.
And what faces him ahead?
Well, again, getting wins. If the quicker you can get wins underneath his belt, then the quicker confidence obviously comes back in the team. I think the main thing is obviously survival. We can't afford to go out of the Premiership, so I think the quicker we can get a win underneath our belt, the better. And
the squad he inherits?
Again, obviously, it's at the present moment you can say that this is Steve Bruce's squad. It'll be interesting when the window opens. Will there be any additions? I would imagine a prime priority is a centre forward, somebody who can put the ball in the back of the net, and then hopefully, we can wait till next season, then where we could be able to judge Martin O'Neill when he'd be able to bring in his own type of players.
And the differences between Steve Bruce and Martin O'Neill, what's fairly significant between the two of them?
Well, I think obviously when you see Martin O'Neill and Steve Bruce, straight away you know that Martin O'Neill, it's going to be a journey. It's never going to be straightforward. He's a character, not just on the touchline but off the touchline as well. His media conferences is going to be something different. You can see the passion in him, and I think that's something which obviously since he's been out of the game he's missed, and hopefully that he'll obviously receive when he obviously is manager of Sunderland Football Club.
And the future for Gary Bennett then, book out now, heading into a new year? Yeah,
definitely. So I said I've been lucky, I've enjoyed my life. I'd like to do a lot more for charities now. Hopefully that's something which direct myself into.
You spent a lot of time with show races and the red card?
Yeah, definitely so. And again, I've been lucky enough to be involved in show racing with the red card from when it was set up in 1996. And obviously deliver workshops in schools, primary schools, secondary schools, youth projects right throughout the North East, right throughout the country. So it's something which I have a lot of interest in, and something which I do believe in, and it's something which obviously can affect us all.
It's obviously made things a little bit more difficult for you with the current John Terry Ferdinand situation. Does it get frustrating for you that when you put so much work into the schools and the youngsters and you tell them about, because I've been there, I know exactly what you do, and you preach to the children about the way it affects people racism, and you see something that hits the national news and it's in the papers, it's on the telly. Does that make it more difficult for people like you?
Well, definitely so. Again, you look at footballers now and they're held up as role models. They're obviously what they do, get people who want to practice or do what the role models do. So again, it'll be interesting to see what the outcome is on the John Terry affair. Obviously we've seen the Suarez and Everett, so we'll see what the punishment's going to be. But again, it doesn't help when you're trying to help to stamp out racism, not just in football but in society in general.
So if it's difficult in this day, how difficult was it for Gary Bennett at his peak?
Well, again, we did have organisations like Show Racism's Red Card, which gave you the support. Again, you could go to a football ground, you could shout, scream, swear, abuse and get away with it. But now if you do any form of racism at a football ground, then it is an offence. You can get charged, not just in a football ground but outside a football ground as well, in public. But it's important that if it does happen, that you do report it. And
still talking about the newspapers, is still full of it, the Gary Speed shock, which will probably roll on well into the new year too. Your thoughts on Gary Speed?
Well, again, I think when I found out and seeing it on the text, it was on Sky Sports. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was a Sunday and it knocked me for six. Again, if you've met Gary Speed, well, not even meeting him, but even if you know anything about Gary Speed, he was a lovely fella. I felt he was well liked, not just in this country, but right around the world. He was a gentleman, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well.
Seems as though the word depression's come into play quite a bit over the past few weeks within football. We hear a lot of players now talking about it, coming out saying, look, the pressures of doing this, and yet we see it as fans and think, well, it looks an easy job, there's a massive salary there at the end of every week, and that must also bring its hard days as well and dark days too.
Yeah, definitely so. And again, people are thinking, how can you suffer from depression when you're doing a job which you love and you're getting well paid for it, and how can you be depressed? But you can be. As you said, there's a lot of pressure which goes with football, and injuries if you're not actually in the team, if you've got a serious injury, the pressures of winning week in, week out as well comes alongside that. And obviously you've got outside of that, you've got family pressures and pressures which is off the field as well, which goes alongside it. So yeah, anybody can suffer from depression.
You've had a crack at management. You were at Darlow under, of course, the very famous Georgie Reynolds, which must have been interesting days for you. We won't go and dwell on that too much. But go on.
Well, you know as well, Goffy. I used to be there in the mornings when he used to ring you up, and there were some colourful moments. Put it that way. He's a colourful character, George, and he's one of them. If he got you on the phone or if he was sat in front of you, then he'd have you there for the next 2 or 3 hours. He's an entertaining man, interesting man.
Once.
Yeah. some of the facts that he comes out with, but put it this way, it was never a dull moment.
My question before that was, would you like to go back? Would you like to do more and put more back in with coaching and manage? If a chance came along to manage again, what do you think?
Management, no. Coaching, yes. But I remember that when you're a manager, it's 24/7. It takes over your life. Sometimes you don't even got time for your families. You're all over the country. If you're not watching first team games, you're watching reserve team games. If you're not watching reserve team games, then it's youth team games. It is a big job. I enjoy coaching. I enjoy seeing the development of young people coming through and hopefully breaking into football. And a pleasure to get out of it.
And your pal Mick Wadsworth out of a job, another shock in the North East. Tell us about your connection with Mick and your thoughts.
Yeah, Mick. Me and Mick's, go back a long time. I played under Mick when he was at Carlisle for 6 months, and then me and him went to Scarborough for 2 years. We had 2 successful years at Scarborough, and Mick obviously went on to coach at Newcastle United. He didn't have a game on the Saturday, and then he comes in on Monday and gets the sack. So that just shows you football. You never know what's round the corner, but I would imagine that he'll pop up somewhere.
And thoughts on the Pools job? Anybody there? Any names that are floating around who you think might be interested in the job?
Well, I'll tell you one thing for sure. They won't be short of contenders for the job. I think it's an excellent, well-run club, and there's a lot of managers out there who's not in the game who would want to get back into the game, and it'd be a great club for him to start. As I said, they've got a chairman. Everything's run right. I don't think they've got any debt, but again, it's down to results again.
And Mick's thoughts on it? You spoke to him, I would imagine, since?
Yeah, I've spoke to Mick, and obviously he's disappointed with losing his job. And, it's that old scenario. If given a little bit more time, then he would have turned it round. But we all know that today it's all about results.
And fans have proved that just at Stadium of Light as well. It's pretty much, if they want somebody out now, it's pretty easy to do, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It's result based. We know that, and the supporters know that. Managers know that when they're going into the game. They've got to hit the ground running. If you're not producing the results, then unfortunately you're going to lose your job.
Good luck. The book's called The Black Cat. It's Gary Bennett's football scrapbook, and it's out in all good bookstores across the North East right now. Good luck with it, Gary.
Thank you very much.